If you're struggling to lose body fat, watch this. Obesity, struggling to lose weight, high blood pressure, high blood sugars, high triglycerides, low good cholesterol, all signs of metabolic syndrome. I'm going to explain what that is, and I'm going to show you 2 things that leading metabolic scientists around the world say you should be doing to reverse it. 1 in 3 adults in the US have metabolic syndrome, and most don't know it. It causes heart attack, stroke, obesity, diabetes. All chronic disease is rooted in metabolic syndrome. Now, since it causes these health consequences, that means by reversing metabolic syndrome, we can fix our health. Our bodies rely on 2 energy sources: burning glucose or food and body fat. And what decides this is insulin. When we eat, our glucose goes up, and then our body has to release insulin to bring that glucose back down. This means that when we're eating and our insulin is high, we are in glucose burning mode. Our bodies are not able to burn fat. Any extra glucose, any extra food that our body doesn't need, that gets stored as body fat. But when we aren't eating, our insulin lowers. It takes about 3 to 4 hours for insulin to come back down. But once it's low, then we are in fat burning mode again. Your body can only burn fat when insulin is low. In a healthy individual, our bodies are going back and forth between these 2 energy sources. But what's happening today is insulin resistance is skyrocketing. Insulin resistance happens when your insulin is chronically elevated. And that happens because every time you eat, your glucose goes up. And then your body has to release insulin to bring that glucose back down. But insulin is a hormone. It takes longer for insulin to come back down. But then if you're eating and snacking all day long, constantly spiking your insulin, eventually it stays elevated and it has a really hard time coming back down even when you've stopped eating. It is elevated all day, every day. So we become insulin resistant, and that means our body is stuck in glucose burning mode. We are unable to burn fat on our body because our insulin is chronically elevated, and elevated insulin stops your body's ability to burn fat. Our bodies are no longer able to switch back and forth, so we're gaining weight, and this inability to go back and forth between these energy sources, that is metabolic syndrome. And when our cells stop responding to insulin, we get sick. We start gaining weight. You might notice skin pigmentation around your neck and other locations, adult acne, skin tags, and eventually that insulin resistance causes more serious health problems. All chronic disease is linked to insulin resistance and metabolic syndrome. So how do you reverse this? Leading metabolic scientists recommend 2 things. First, intermittent fasting. Eating all of your meals between noon and 8 p.m. This gives your insulin a chance to come back down. Second is fiber. It's not enough to control your insulin while you're fasting. When you're eating and you're breaking your fast, you have to control your insulin as well. And fiber is a really effective way to control your glucose and your insulin spikes. It can lower your insulin response by up to 50%.